today's lesson, we're going to have a little look at adding and subtracting decimal numbers. When doing these sort of questions, it's very important that you set your workings or tower sum out correctly. The tenth digits all need to be in a vertical line or column. The hundredth digits all need to be in a vertical line or column, as do the thousandths, the tens of thousands, etc. If you have set out your question correctly, you'll find that the decimal points are all in a vertical line. If you don't set out the sum or your workings correctly, you could quite easily make mistakes. The question here on the screen, 32.4 plus 4.23, is not equal to 36.27. You might get the 27 if you ignore the place value columns and you were just to add the 4 after the decimal point in the first number and the 2, 3, thinking that it's 23 in the second number. Let's show you how you're going to set your work out correctly. So the first number then, 32.4, I suggest you put one number per square in your book and also give the decimal point a square. So 32.4. And we want to add on to this 4.23. So 4 goes in the units column, decimal point down, 2 in the tenths, and 3 in the hundredths. And we draw our lines, horizontal lines for our answer. So, as with ordinary whole number addition, we're going to start on the right hand side of the question. So 0 plus 3 is 3, 4 plus 2 is 6, decimal point down, 2 plus 4 is 6, and 3 plus 0 is 3. So you can see the answer to the calculation, 32.4 plus 4.23, is actually 36.63. We've got two other examples to have a little look at here on the board. So again, remembering how to set the column sums out. 5.46 is the first number, 5.46. I know some of you might like to put the largest number on top. You can if you prefer to, it makes no difference. When you're adding, which order you do it in, we want to add on 23.8. So 2 tens, 3 units, decimal point, 8 tenths. And the lines for my answer. We have in the hundredths column, 6 plus 0 is 6. In the tenths column, 4 plus 8 is 12. 2 down, carry the 1, don't forget your decimal point. 5 plus 3 is 8. Plus the 1 I carried is 9, and finally on its own in the tens column is the 2. The answer to that question is 29.26. You'll notice in this question here that the final number doesn't contain a decimal point. The decimal point always goes after the units digit, so 5 can be written as 5.0. Decimal point always goes after the units. So setting out our tower sum, we've got 67.3, and I'm going to add on to that 17.35, so that's 110, 7 units, decimal point down, 3 tenths, and 5 hundredths. And then, like I said, the 5, we can think of that as 5.0, so that's 5 in the units column, decimal point down, 0 in the tenths. Lines for my answer. 5 hundredths, 3 plus 3, that's 6 tenths. Decimal point down, 7 plus 7 is 14, plus the 5 is 19. 9 down, carry the 1. 6 plus 1 is 7, plus the 1 I carried is 8. So that's 89.65. On to subtraction now. Same thing, we do need to set the tower sums out carefully. So the first one, 4.53. And we want to take away or subtract from that 1.6. So that's 1 unit, decimal point down, and 6/10. Again then, starting on the right hand side, 3 subtract 0 is 3. 5 subtract 6, you can't do that, so if I borrow from the 4, it become a 3, give the one next door. 15 take away 6 is 9, decimal point down, 3 take away 1 is 2, so the answer to that question is 2.93. Now you'll notice in the next question that we don't have the same number of digits after the decimal point in both these numbers. Any spaces on the top line do need to be filled in with zeros, as I'll show you now. So 83.4, and we want to subtract from that 62.843. So you'll see 2 gaps in the top row, one in the hundredths column, one in the thousandths column. I'm going to fill those in with zeros. People who don't fill in the gaps with zeros tend to make mistakes. So make sure you fill those in, please. So then we go 0 take away 3, we can't do it. We can't borrow from next door because they don't have anything. So we're going to borrow from the 4, which will become a 3. And I can give the 1 next door. So I'm now going to borrow from next door because they've got 10. If I borrow from the 10, it'll become 9. Give the 1 next door. 10 take away 3 is 7. 9 take away 4 is 5. 3 take away 8. I can't do that, so I'm going to borrow from the 3, which will become a 2. Give the 1 next door. 13 take away 8 is 5. Decimal point down. 2 take away 2 is 0. And finally, 8 take away 6 is 2. So the answer to that question is 20.557. And the last one here, again, we've got a whole number, no decimal point written in this number here, 56. So we can put 56, and after the unit, we put the decimal point. Now looking ahead, there's 3 digits after the decimal point in the number we're going to subtract. So we're going to put in 3 zeros after the decimal point. Here we go, 56.000. We're going to take away 6, which is the units column, 0.608. And again, starting from the right hand side, 0 take away 8, we can't do that. Well, we can't borrow from next door because there's nothing there. We can't borrow from next door to that, so we're going to borrow from the 6, which will become a 5. We'll give the 1 next door. So we can borrow from the 10, which will become a 9, give the 1 next door. Borrow from the 10, which will become a 9, give the 1 next door. 10 take away 8 is 2. 9 take away 0 is 9. 9 take away 6 is 3. Decimal point down. 5 take away 6, we can't do that, so we're going to borrow from the 5, which will become a 4. Give the 1 next door. 15 take away 6 is 9. And finally, 4 take away 0 is 4. So the answer to that question is 49.392. So just to summarise some key points. Place value columns, vitally important. Make sure you set your tower sums out correctly. If there's no decimal point in the number, it goes after the units digit. And when subtracting, fill in any empty spaces on the top line with zeros.